All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we're gonna do something kind of cool. You all know, most of you on this channel are pretty familiar with my Greeble technique and stuff like that. And for the longest time, I've been trying to figure out a way to basically solidify it instead of making a outer shell that looks cool until you get up close, and then you see that it's just the edge. Just really just a fancy displacement map. Well, today I'm going to show you how to fill in the gaps and add more detail to it. So I'm going to show you two different ways using a similar technique. So let's hop right into Zbrush and we'll get started. So what you'll need is just run over to my Gumroad page if you haven't already done so. Download one of the sample packs. I recommend I'm going to be using the 4K sample pack, the Greeble sample pack off of my Gumroad. And that's what we're going to use for this demonstration. But this can apply to any of the ones that you generate with the Greeble generator. You can even apply this to other displacement maps that you use surface noise with. The applications are pretty cool. It's actually something that's been in ZBrush for a while, and I'll show you what it is here in a minute. So first, I'm going to change to Matcap Gray, and we're going to take the simple flat approach to a flat panel first. I'm going to show you that technique real quick. Open up Plane 3D, drag it onto your canvas, T for edit. We'll straighten them up there. You can put it on the polyfill just to see what it is. Make sure you click make polymesh. All right. And as you can see right now, we can't see on the back side of it, so we'll just change our display properties to double. And now we can see both sides. Open up your surface noise. You guys should be pretty familiar with this here. We're going to click over to UV. We're going to flip our H there, and we're going to open up an alpha. And let's see, I got to go find him real quick. Believe, yeah. And let's see, yes, I got a lot of files in here in 4K sample pack. I believe we're working with number 4. Yes. Grab the depth out of the 4K sample pack and mix basic noise, turn him all the way off, and put our strength in the positive direction. Probably just do 0.15 for strength, and then change your offset to negative 0.01. And there we go. Now it clears out all the black so we can see through it. And that's all there is to that one. And I'm probably going to just copy that just so I can use it down the road here. Click OK. And we can turn off polyfill now. We're not really going to concentrate on colors or UV or anything today. We're just going to concentrate on the technique. So if we zoom in a bit, right now it's just a preview of the flat panel. If we do a BPR, whoops, Control Z, I don't want to do that. Do a quick BPR. And I turn them on side so you can see what the problem is. Okay, so here it is, just a rendered preview of it. And as you can see, it's just the outer shell that is pushed out. So we do get some depth to it, but the backside of it is not capped off. And yeah, it's just, not as much depth as some people would like. So I'll do another render of it real fast. Okay, so what we're going to do is first we're going to apply that displacement to our model. And let me do geometry and convert BPR to geo. Let's see how many polygons I get out of this. All right, it created looks like 7.2 million points. So I made a real nice model. But like I said, this backside it's just ugly, unusable, and you can kind of pick up on it on the sides. So what we want to do is cap that off. Now, mind you that this technique is a little memory intensive So make sure you've got sufficient memory. I'm only running with 16 gigs and I'm using the 64-bit version of Zbrush. So definitely be using that so you can have access to all your memory. And what we want to do is go under, the little trick here is actually go under morph target. Store a morph target. Okay, so we're going to keep that panel open because that's going to help us out here in a second. So what I want to do is turn him on the side. We've stored the morph target. I'm going to do a clip curve. So if you do B, C, and clip curve, and then skip that note so we don't have to see that every time. Okay, so now we got clip curve here. And basically, I want to push the mesh backwards, and which is quick and easy on this flat panel. So if you do drag him out, make sure that little gray line, you see him, that little shaded line is pushing in that direction. It's kind of hard for me to illustrate, but I think you get what I'm getting at here. So we're going to drag him all the way up and give it a second to work. It's got to work with a lot of points here, so give it a second to do it. All right, it's flattened him out. We'll turn him back on his side. Now you can see he's perfectly flat. And all you've got to do is click this button right here, Create Difference Mesh. Go ahead and click it. It's going to take a minute, and it will create a brand new tool in the tool shelf up here once it's done. So you just keep an eye on that. Like I said, it's using a lot of polygons right now, so it does take a minute to process this. All right, it's all done. So now you can see in your tool panel up here, you now have this one called Morph Difference. Go ahead and click on that. Okay, so we have a little bit of a problem there. It's our normals are a little wacky on there, and that's kind of a problem with this particular process. You can go up to your display properties and click flip, and that will correct some of it, though it's still not perfect. I don't see any real errors on this one, so I think we did okay there. And there is your nice solid panel. And so say like you want information on the back side. Well, that's pretty quick and easy. What you could do is we want to do just a quick move. So you can see where your line is, because if you haven't moved it, you see that this is pretty much where the zero coordinate is. So what we want to do is just move him up a little bit. Control Z. Why am I only moving a part of him? Make sure there's no mask on here. There he goes. All right, I think we centered him up just fine. Now if you go under Geometry and do Modify, and you do a mirror and well, but do it on the Z. Oops, hold on, I accidentally did it on the X. Okay, let's Control Z that. Okay. Let's see if I can turn off X without clicking that. Hit Z. Let's see if it'll let me do it without crashing. Like I said, memory intensive. You might run out of RAM if you're low like me, so there you go. Sometimes it may not crash it. Hold on, it may still do the process for us. Yeah, it hasn't totally crashed, so we're good. So, like I said, you want to be very careful with this technique. Save often, which I haven't done. Oh well. And there we go. We have got this nice solid Greeble. The only thing is your polygons are still a little wonky in here, and it's really hard to tell, but you notice how where you can see down in here where, let me turn off the line. You can see how, just trust me on the fact that these edge polygons are a little, they're overlapping each other and stuff like that. So a quick fix to that is to actually go ahead and use Dynamesh on this model. So go ahead and Dynamesh, turn off project, and do like a 1500. It'll pop it into 1504, and go ahead and Dynamesh. This takes a second to figure it out, but it does a halfway decent job. And then you can actually decimate this mesh down to a reasonable size. There we go. It's processed it down. Now it's down to 6.3 million active points instead of the 14 million that we had previously. And it has sealed off those edges, those overlapping polygons I was talking about. But otherwise, you have a nice clean mesh, and we can actually go to our plugin, and we do decimation master, preprocess current. All right, done pre-processing. Let's just take him to 250,000 polys and see what he looks like. Decimate current. I don't see any visible differences, but if we hit polyfill and turn the lines back on, there we go. Relatively clean topology on this mesh. I like it. So that takes care of the flat panels there. So what about a curved surface that you can't just kind of use a clip curve? Well, you could, but it's not as elegant, and you can't do a mirror and weld like you could with this guy to get the backside's information. Well, let's move on to another way to do this. So let's go over to our, click on Tool, open up Sphere 3D. All right, let's get him centered again. All right, we're going to go ahead and make him a polymesh. And the nice thing about these primitives in here, they usually have a UV already built into it. This one's got a spherical UV, which comes in quite handy for us. I'm going to go ahead and hit D on the keyboard, and that will assign dynamic subdivision to it, just so it smooths it out. So let's go under Surface, do Noise, and all I have to do is paste, because you remember we copied it from the last one. So there we go. Don't have to do any extra things to it. Click OK. Okay, so now we got it. Can't quite see through it yet because we don't have our display properties set up correctly. So display double. So now we can see the backside. So say like, so what I want to do, as you remember in the beginning of the video, I had a different looking mesh there, and all I did was do select rectangle here. Is all I did was delete some of the topology on the mesh. And let's see where's a good spot to cut. Maybe back here. Oops. All right, we'll cut out that there. So go ahead and go to Modify Topology under your geometry here, and then click Delete Hidden. There we go. Now the dynamic subdivision is working again, and it's all nice and smooth. We can go ahead and do a quick preview and just hit BPR, just so we can check out our displacement and see how far it's going to protrude out. All right, looks good. I may take off that little cap there. Hold on. Let's get rid of that. and delete hidden. There we go. Do one more here, because it kind of jumped out real far there. It'll still work, but wonkiness over here too. All right. Delete hidden. One more BPR and then we'll just call it good. You don't have to BPR, I just like to do that so I can see how far that displacement is pushing everything. Let me get rid of this upper cap. And delete hidden. Alright. Alright. That's going to be good for me now. I keep on saying that, but I keep on changing my mind. Alright, so we want to basically project all that information inwards. So what we need to do is a little trick here. I am going to call this one outer. You can call it whatever you want. It just makes sense to me. And duplicate it and rename him inner. Okay. So now with the inner one, I'm going to hit solo here. Actually, I don't really need to. Go under your surface, go under edit, and then change the strength to a negative 0.15. So just do the negative of whatever strength you have, and then click OK. Now, it's kind of hard to tell because of the preview, but go ahead and hit BPR, and you'll see what we're going to try to achieve here. Okay, so now we can see both shells, the inner and outer. Now the only thing about displacements though that we run into, so I'm going to go ahead real quick, I'm going to fill this object, I'm going to fill it green, fill object, and if you don't know where that is, it's under color, fill object, and then I'm going to go to my other subtool, outer, and I'm going to fill him back to white, fill, and BPR him real fast so we can see. And basically we don't want to see any of the green on the outside, so we're going to have to do a little trick with the inner one, but it's a trick that you all should be familiar with. As you can see, this green is protruding to the outside there. So what we want to do, I'm going to do a deformation, I'm going to do inflate, I want to make sure I'm on the right subtool, so push up, we want to make sure we're on the inner one, so I'm going to do a negative 40 inflate. Okay, so now we can really see them. But that displacement's still going to cause havoc here and there, so let's go ahead and BPR and see if any of the green pops out on the outside, which I think it still will. And not so much. Looks like a little bit over here. Do a quick BPR, and then we'll make some final adjustments here. Okay, so it looks like we still need to, I'm going to negative 20 that, and we'll see if that is going to be enough for us to make this work. And I think all our protrusions are good and everything's on the correct side. So you can have them intersect each other, but you get a little wonky geometry on the outsides, which we do not want. All right, so what we need to do to each of our subtools here. So the inner one, let's go ahead and just do the outer one real fast. Solo him, geometry. Under your dynamic, click apply, and then convert BPR to GO. All right, so remember that 6.593 million points. All right, keep that in the back of your head. So I'm going to push up, and we're going to look at the outer or the inner shell. We're going to do apply and BPR to GO. And what we should have is an identical point count, and it looks like we do. So if I go down 6.593 million, up to look at the inner shell, 6.593 million. So we've got basically an identical count to our polygons or to our points, and that is critical for this technique to work. So what I want to do is go ahead under UVs. I want to just go ahead and delete it. I don't think you have to delete the UVs, but it's about best that you do. Go ahead and export your inner shell, and I'm just going to throw them on my desktop real fast. Enter and replace them. Give it a second to save it out. It'll probably be about 400 to 500 megabytes. It's not necessary to keep it after you do this process. Okay, so he is saved out now. So let's go ahead and go back to our other one. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and delete undo history of these guys because they are, my RAM is creeping into nothing. So, okay, so we're in our outer here. Everything's perfect. What you want to do is go to your morph target now and store. Now, go ahead and import your inner. Give it a second to compute that. And there we go. We now got the inner shell. Now go ahead and create difference. And hopefully, as long as we kept all the polygons correct, this should create a difference of this. And there it is. Morph difference. Okay, so we got that wonkiness with the normals, so go ahead and display properties and flip. And because nothing was overlapping, everything, the normals should be perfect now. And as you can see, we have this nice, beautiful mesh created from a single texture, a nice little Greeble texture. So, okay, so we still got the problems of the overlapping meshes on the sides. So go ahead and go to geometry. I'm going to delete the undo here and go under morph. Make sure, okay, that's taken care of. So go ahead, geometry, and we will go to Dynamesh, turn off project, 1504, and Dynamesh it. Give it a few seconds to process, and then keep an eye on your active point count up there. And there you go. As you can note, that it's reduced the polygon count there. It doesn't have to be so heavy, and you haven't really lost any details whatsoever. Now you could take this mesh and do like we did in the last one and go ahead and pre-process it and get it ready for Decimation Master. All right, it's done computing. Let's see, let's go to 500,000 polygon count and see what happens. Might be a little too much for it. No, actually it did really, really well. I didn't notice any artifacts. Awesome. Let's turn on polyfill, and there you go. Nice, clean model for whatever use you need it for. So let's why don't we do something? Let's set up a quick render. Let's see. Let's take our other mesh here that we made, and I'm going to put him in the scene. Append. Where is he at? Morph difference. Okay. So he's in the scene now. Turn him. So let's go ahead and I'm going to rotate that plane real quick. You don't have to do this. This tutorial's over, guys. I'm just playing with it to give you a little something, quick presentation of it. And let's see, 90. There we go. And let's move him down. Get him right below. Right here. Alrighty. So let's see if I could do an array mesh on this guy, because he is tileable. So let's go ahead and I don't play with array mesh much. Array. Let's do repeat 3, and let's go X amount 3. Alright, he went the wrong direction just because I got the canvas turned the wrong way. And let me move him this way. So he's about in the center there. There we go. And let's see, let's go ahead and maybe let's just go to deformation, and we'll just scale him just a little bit in the Z direction. There we go. Alright, so go to your animation, let's see, movie. Let's do large document recording. Modifiers, actually, I don't want timeline. Overlay image, just turn him off. We all know it's made in Zbrush. Nothing against you, Pixel Logic. Just turn those defaults off for us. Modifiers, spin, 180 frames. And let's see, do a quick test here, turntable. Alright, so scale him up so we can see him better. Let's do a quick, actually let's change our render settings. Render, let's go ahead and render, I would do AO, but that's going to suck up a lot of time. Let's see, render properties. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's turn on AO, just keep it light. Turn the strength all the way up. Go to your shadow, change angle, about 30, blur, about 6. Let's do a quick BPR, see how that looks. Not too bad, not too bad. We can mess with BPR filters if we wanted. Go down to F7, which is colorize. I'm going to change that to multiply. I want to change the color to black. I want it to go positive AO, so it's just in the AO, maybe in the shadows a bit more. No, reverse the shadows. No, positive shadow. And colorize, intensify that up to 100. Maybe turn on, where's Orton, and we'll turn on, I think, sharpen. Let's see. Okay, cool. So let's find a good angle here. And we will BPR it, and then we'll start our render, and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Alright. Not the greatest, but, you know, it'll do for now. So let's go ahead, go back to your movie panel, and then start your turntable. And then when it's all done, I'll show it to you here in a second. And there you go, guys. All nice and complete there. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial. Definitely want to see some of your results. So send me a message on Facebook or here on YouTube. Happy to check out your results, give you any advice, or give me some advice. So we will see you in the next video. You guys have a great day.